What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with how many Australian accents are there really? I'm intrigued at this question. How many accents are out there? I'm gonna say like 23. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Let's jump into this info.
Good day. How you going?
Everything, mate. Good mates, good times, having a great time, mate. Yeah, we good mates.
You know it when you hear it, right? The Aussie accent.
Hello, I'm Paul Married. Welcome to Media Watch.
Hello and welcome to Gardening Australia.
When they find out that I do the voice of Bandit, right? They go, oh my God.
You know what it is. It's the good old meat pie.
If you know Australians or you are Australian, you've heard the voice. But you're not crazy if you think there might be little differences in the way Aussies speak around the country and between generations. Some of our top linguists agree.
It may be that this country will become the most valuable acquisition Britain has ever made.
To learn how close Australians are to the kind of regional accent variation you might get in the UK or the United States, I started reading what those linguists have to say. This paper looks at 4 parts of Victoria, Australia's most densely populated state, to see if there's any difference in the way people speak from one end to the other. It looks at one of the most characteristic accent features of that state, the one that makes Victorians say Melbourne instead of Melbourne or Melbourne, and showed that in the state's north, it's dying out. But in the south, in the city of Melbourne itself and on the coastal town of Warrnambool, it's getting stronger.
In Warrnambool, the sound change was advancing, so that meant that more people were merging those two sounds together, whereas in Mildura, only the older people were doing that, and it was like this sound change had reversed in the younger community.
Merging the L and L.
It's so crazy to think about, but I mean, it's not just out. Of course, it's not just in Australia, but I mean, any country you go to, different areas, different regions of that state, that country, that place, you're gonna have different accents. You know, I'm from Texas, greatest state on earth. But even in Texas, you're gonna have different accents between different parts of Texas, and it's gonna be like that everywhere. And it's always just very interesting. All the different accents, the different words used, the different slang, the everything. It's always interesting because it's like we're all part of the same state, but we speak differently.
L sounds is just one of the changes happening around Australia right now. Where I'm from in Western Australia, here is a word with 2 syllables.
Here.
In New South Wales,
That's
you might
crazy.
just have 1.
Here. Like here. Like we here. 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 That's crazy, dog.
In Queensland, you might say you're going to school or having a swim at the pool. In South Australia, they might drop the L entirely and sound more like school or pool. Let's start with this one.
I'm going for a swim at the pool. Going for a swim at the pool.
Just read it out and then read it down into the camera.
There's no chance of clear skies here in Melbourne, but here we feel like going to the pool.
There's no chance of clear skies in Melbourne, but here we feel like going to the pool.
There's no chance of clear skies in Melbourne, but here we feel like going to the pool.
Linguists stop short
That's
of
crazy.
calling these all new accents, and for good reason. But you're not alone if you've noticed the little differences when they do appear. Around Australia, people take a lot of pride in their lingo and particular accent, and they're not above having a bit of fun with other Aussies on the subject.
Most Queenslanders tend to say France, demand, command. It's not demand, command, France, because we don't want to sound like a wanker.
When I went to Queensland.
I was going to say, that's how we say it in America. Command, demand, France. That's how we say it over here. But command, demand, France. Because we don't want to sound like a wanker. I love it. Hey, I love it. We got something in common, Australia. Something in common. I like it.
France, because we don't want to sound like a wanker.
When I went to Queensland, I had to get a bit nasally.
Bro, that's crazy. Had to get a little bit nasally. I can't do it. F.
When I went to Queensland, I had to get a bit nasally.
That's crazy.
Victorian, they speak. I know there's a little bit of an ochre twang to it, and in Sydney, it's a tiny bit stuffy.
Generally, no, I don't think people say, "Oh, you're from Melbourne," when I'm talking to them. I feel like it's a more gentle Australian accent, if there's such a thing.
Ultimately, the state you're from is only part of what makes an Aussie accent unique. For a better explanation, we need to look at the way
it's
people...
like also like the environment. I mean, the people around you, family members, friends, all of that are also going to play a huge role in that.
From different regions, generations,
yeah,
and social classes have expressed themselves over time. Going back to ABC clips from just 50 years ago, it's pretty clear to see who's making an effort to sound a certain way and who's using their genuine voice.
What is our question? Oh yes, do Australians speak with a bad accent?
Extremely badly.
I think that they're lazy.
They speak as though they have a piece of barbed wire clamped on both sides of their jaw.
Loose tongues, loose mouth.
They speak like that with their mouth like that.
You speak nice. Nicely, actually. I like grammar too. Thank you for your correction.
Researchers looking at the diversity of Australia...
those had to be the Brits, huh? It had to be the Brits. You speak nice. You had to correct it nicely. I like grammar. Okay. Can't stand that. I can't stand with somebody. I'm speaking slang. Stop trying to correct my grammar. I know how to say the sentence, but that's not how I talk. And I'm not going to use nicely the next time I say you speak nice to someone. But yeah, you could tell that one woman was a Brit for. She had to be a Brit.
In English have come a long way. One of the biggest breakthroughs in recent work has been our understanding of Aboriginal Australian English and the ways that it varies between communities around the country and even within those communities.
When it comes to Aboriginal communities, whether they're speaking Creole or Aboriginal English or their own dialect, for example, that accent definitely changes across the regions, varying towns and communities. You can tell the difference between like the Northern Territory mob and the Kimberley mob, and same as the Queensland mob and the New South Wales.
Some of the research that's going on in Aboriginal English is looking, for example, some work that I've done is looking at sound changes. So one of the things that we can rely on about languages is that it will change. You know, that's why older people often have comments on younger people's accents. And certainly the kinds of sound changes that occur in different communities occur at different rates.
Offhand comments might be the end of it for some people. But for a lot of Australians with a voice that falls outside the mainstream, there's a tough choice to make about changing it to meet expectations.
There's been some research projects that I've not been involved in, but where people will play recordings and say, do you think this person's employable? Do you think this person is a nice person? And if they don't sound like a mainstream speaker, they'll have more negative judgments.
And not everyone can do that. And it absolutely is an obstacle, because people can judge you on your accent. People can judge you on the way you talk. They may think you're less educated or not as intellectual.
Do you ever find yourself changing your voice for a certain situation or a certain person?
I think I probably did when I was first starting out as a journalist. I really had to make a conscious effort not to have a kind of nasal strine, which is sometimes associated with Queensland voices.
I feel like we all, for certain things, have to change up. I've had to change my voice for certain job interviews, on the phone. At a job, I've had to change my voice into, like, you got your polite voice, you got your professional voice, and you got how you really speak. I have a very monotone voice when I'm just speaking naturally. But when you're on the phone at a job, you want to show emotion, you want to sound happy, so you put a smile on and you sound happy and excited. But, normally I have a very monotone voice, so I feel like we all have to make conscious efforts to speak differently in certain situations, certain circumstances. If you don't, good on you.
Well, I couldn't work out what the words were for used to, and it's used to.
Do you ever stop yourself like that anymore, or you've just gone, my voice is what it is now?
My voice is what it is. I've been a broadcast journalist for nearly 3 decades, so I think I've earned my chops to speak how I like.
Fair enough.
Speak how I like.
End up in the remote Kimberley. You know, it doesn't take too long, and then you're back in that sort of local twang. But then if you're hobnobbing it at a ribbon cutting function with distinguished guests, then we'll speak a little more clear and less slangy.
We're not trying to imitate the bloody Pommies or anyone else. We've got our own way of talking. Australian accent, a bloody good accent.
I feel like, like I said, there's different regions of anywhere you go, you're going to have different accents. And I just really love that Australian accent. There's something about those Aussies that you just can't help but love that accent. But that's all we got for this one. Y'all let me know whether y'all agree or disagree. What different kind of accents they missed out on. How many accents you think there are in Australia. But make sure you subscribe, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. It's your boy Neal. Out.